afternoon, South Africa. Very warm welcome to you. My name is Palisa Tembe, and this is Afternoon Express. It's a Monday, and I feel so grateful to be a South African right now. Now, it is the start of a new week, and there are still a lot of uncertainty about what the future holds with regards to the coronavirus outbreak. The president will be addressing the nation a little later on, but whilst we wait for that, today we've got a very special show lined up. Now, we'll be chatting to a journalist, WELZ, who has done extensive research on the virus and its effects in other countries. Plus, we're joined via video chat by two women in Cape Town who have the COVID-19 virus, and they'll share their experience with us. But we're also here to inspire you today. So joining us first up is a woman that has walked a similar path to mine. Last year, she was crowned one of the 2 Presenter Search on 3 Expresso Edition winners. It's mother, model, and the face that wakes up South Africa every single morning on Expresso, Jamie Lee Domberg. Now connect with us on social media and let us know if you've got any questions regarding the topic today or any of our guests. You can tweet us, Instagram us, but make sure to use that hashtag Afternoon Express. Hey girl, how you doing?
Good.
Very, very good. I'm so excited to finally have you on the Afternoon Express couch because you are everything in terms of the epitome of what I'm every woman. It is all in you, and you carry it with such pride and such elegance.
Thank you so much. I mean, that was a whole CV, but yeah, thank you. I feel like every woman now. I just feel like it's Mondays, it's Mama Mondays, and it's so good to be with a family again.
Yeah, it is Mommy Mondays, and your journey in motherhood has been quite unique to a lot of people. But I have to go back to the beginning of it all, where you used to work on cruise ships as entertainment. I mean, where did your love for entertainment start?
I think like when I was about 4 years old, I always used to like perform for my family. So I was like, I'll charge him R1 to like let me dance for them. And so it was always a part of my journey. And then I think like throughout the years, being on primary school, high school, I always wanted to be on theatre and on TV. And then for a while, I lost myself along the way. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do TV. I remember doing my first audition, sucking at it, like dying, failing horribly. It was like 3, 2, 1, and I like literally froze.
I mean, I struggle to believe that.
Girl, okay. It was a hot mess. And then a few years later, I did cruise ships, and one day they needed someone to do like an insert, and I was like, no, but then I did it, and I loved it, and I was like, imagine. And I remember just putting it out in the universe. I was like, one day, I'm going to enter Presenter Search on 3, forward to 2019 last year.
Boom.
And yeah, I'm now sitting as one of the faces of Expresso Morning Show, which is crazy.
That is crazy. I mean, first of all, a woman after my own heart at 4 years old, making sure you secure the bag, honey, first and foremost. We don't get played, we get paid.
Hey.
I know, I love that mentality, the hustler spirit in you. Was that the same hustler spirit that when you did fall pregnant with your son, you decided, you know what, this is not the end of the road for me. It's fine, I'll go back home, but pick it up again?
I feel like for a long time, I was very like, I was like, it's the end of the journey for me. I thought like, you know what, there's no way that I can move forward from this. And I think even like post-pregnancy, I was like, it can't. So about 3 months after, when I had Luca, the insert came on, and I remember it was a Sunday clearly, and our pastor was preaching about going out in faith, and it's all about your time and about your season. And I remember recording that video, thinking nothing of it, and I was like, Lord, if it's your will, if it's your way, if this is my season, if it's my time. And then 6 months later, like to be crowned presenter, I was like, this is him and no one else. It's not about me. It was all about my time, and it was definitely my season. So yeah, I've always hustled, and I feel like now that story I can share with other women and other mothers and other single mothers. And I always say I'm not a single mother. I'm single, but I'm not a single mother. I have a whole big support system, and my family's with me, part of this journey, you know?
Yeah. So Jamie, you've spoken about so much in this answer. You spoke about faith, you spoke about destiny, you've spoken about needing that support from family and friends. And in South Africa and the world over right now, we're in a very critical moment, a point where a pandemic seems to be taking over everyone's life. We seem to not be able to even have a conversation without bringing up COVID-19. So as a single mother, first of all, aren't you afraid? A lot of people right now, being a mother, being pregnant, I cannot imagine wanting to start a family and grow a family in this current climate. I mean, how are you finding it, and how are you navigating the space?
Yeah, it's again goes back to like your time and season, and I feel like I think it's now the time that we're all together, because when I when I tell people that to raise a child, it takes a village, and that is exactly what South Africa is now. It's a village where we have to go out there and educate our brothers and sisters and educate other people and be like, you know what, you can't do this on your own, because I can't do this on my own. I wake up at 3:45 in the morning, so there's someone that looks after my child. So it's again us standing in unity now and being there for one another, because it's not just South Africa going through this, it's the entire world that's going through this, and we just need to be there for one another throughout this pandemic.
You seem, we're going to go over to social media, but you seem to be someone who sticks to their task. If you put a goal for yourself, you'll make sure you tick it off, and right now fitness, health and wealth is all part of your 2020 vision and resolution. How have you found that journey right now, and do you have any words of inspiration and encouragement for everyone at home who feels down and out, uninspired and unmotivated?
Secure the bag. But no, for me, it's just trust the timing of where you are right now. Sometimes you feel like you're rock bottom, and sometimes being rock bottom is the best place for you to just get up and pick yourself up and dust yourself off, because sometimes being at rock bottom is where you're going to find who you truly are. And for so long, I've been to that place where I didn't know what was next. But understand where you are is not your destination, but it is part of your journey. So that is my words. Can we write a book right now?
I mean, come on, Jamie Lee, presenter, author, I mean, so many things. Mother, motivator. But we have asked everyone on social media if they've got any questions for Jamie Lee. And we've got Lebogang Pale, who asked, I would like to ask her how she avoids sugar cravings, because I can see the difference in her body since she started 90 days ago with her no sugar diet. I've tried, but I've always seemed to fail.
Girl, Jesus and fresh air, let me tell you. No, I'm joking. It's all about like training your mind first. I think that's the first thing you have to do. It's like you have to put yourself like a goal. And for me, it was just like, okay, let's cut out sugar. And then it was hectic at first. You know, I needed this princess coffee in the morning with 2 sugar. But like everyone just supported me, and because I did it on live TV, it's more difficult because people were keeping accountable. I was there, like at the shop, and people was like, "Oh, girl, you take." I'm like, "No, it's not for me. It's not for me." So
is that a chocolate in your bag?
Yeah, so like just have someone that keeps you accountable for it. So yeah, hopefully that will help you.
Okay, so we're seeing a common thread here: support, having people by your side, and it certainly takes a village to create a healthy lifestyle, not only for you but for your kids. Thank you so much for coming through, Jamie, and imparting your wisdom. Finally, we got her on Afternoon Express. Now, after the break, we're in the kitchen with a British classic, bangers and mash. And then we turn our attention to the coronavirus outbreak as we have a video chat conversation with 2 ladies from Cape Town who are currently living with COVID-19. See you after these. Thanks to you, Crush has donated 20,000 pairs of school shoes to children in need across South Africa. Keep celebrating goodness with us. Buy a Crush and follow the details on the pack for a chance to win cash prizes and school fees. Crush, share the goodness.
Clover fresh milk is the #1 milk brand in SA. Made with love by Clover.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, from classic mayo to classic custard, the Clover Classic range has something to offer for any occasion. And sometimes only the classics will do, like the comfort of our classic bangers and mash and gravy, but, you know, with a little twist. So to get our scrumptious version of this classic, simply SMS the keyword Clover to 33650. To get this recipe, SMSs cost R1.50 and free SMSs do not apply. Chef Dumi, this sounds good. Let me come closer, but not too close.
Yes, you know we're keeping that 1.5 meter.
Measure our social responsibility.
Yes.
You know, a lot of us have to be at work, so let's make sure that if we are at work, we're doing the right thing.
Correct.
1.5 meters, okay.
So today we're making, like you said, a classic bangers and mash, and we're adding a bit of a twist here and there. And the one thing I love about bangers and mash is that it's a root vegetable-based dish. So what we've done is we've decided to add a bit more of the root veggies into our dish, and this beautiful Clover Classic to our dish as well, to make it even more creamy and delicious. So to start it off, we've got our chipolatas here, which is our sausages, and we're going to start it off with, this is the part, obviously, that we need to...
It's sausage, it's chipolata.
Chipolatas.
Chipolatas.
It's a fancy way to say mini sausages.
I know, it's sausage. You know it's sausage. No, beautiful. Okay, those look delicious.
Yeah, so we're starting it off with our Clover Classic margie over there, and then we're adding some honey, some mustard, as well as some garlic and thyme into the recipe here. Yeah. And then all of these are going to go into the oven. The reason why we're putting the thyme and the garlic is just for those flavor, to impart the flavor that we need to the actual chipolatas as well.
Stunning. Right now, I'm having garlic with absolutely everything.
I know, right?
Because everyone, you know, it's flu season. Everyone's got those aches and pains and not feeling quite great. Listen, you just cut up those garlic and you have it like a pill. Take that garlic like a pill, honey. You'll be as right as rain 3 times a day. Just stay away from people because your breath will smell garlicky, but you'll be good.
Perfect. And this is how they're going to look once done. So we've got our chipolatas done over there. And then I'm going to get started with the other part of our recipe here, which is the bangers and mash, rather the mash part of the bangers. And then another thing we're adding is our...
More classics.
Yes, more of that classic. So we're adding this into our potatoes. We've got potatoes as well as sweet... orange sweet potato, by the way, sorry. And then we're adding this into there. I'm going to ask you just to mash this for us.
Okay.
While I get done with the gravy, you can just get started with that. As you can see, I've made sure that we've sanitized the surface. I've made sure that we've made it clean.
Yes.
Apparently, this virus stays on surfaces, especially stainless steel, for up to 3 days. So I've made sure that we've sanitized all our equipment today. So to make our gravy...
And that's something that I think a lot of people can overlook. Yes. So you might be clean yourself, you might be sanitized, you might make sure that your clothing, your hair and everything is sorted, but your equipment that you're using, the things you're interacting with on a daily also need to be sanitized.
Correct,
okay,
yes.
so this is all mashed up. It's looking great, and this is how it comes out.
Well done. So that's basically the final product. That's how it's going to look. And remember I mentioned that we're going to be adding more root vegetables. The reason is we want to impart as much of our nutrients into our dishes. That's our main focus nowadays. We're trying to make sure that all our dishes have as many nutrients as possible. Luckily, our Clover Classic fat spread also has a lot of nutrients as well. So we're trying to make sure we've got that. So we've got some beetroot puree over there that you're going to be adding into there. What you can do is make it beautiful for us. Make sure it looks like an ombre type color, because I know you like to make things pretty.
An ombre type color. Okay.
They're just
I'll leave that to you.
Oh, by the way,
I'll leave that to you. You know what I'll do? I'll focus on what I know best, which is the bangers. I love my meats. I love my protein. So this is definitely something that I want to try. Putting a bougie spin, but adding the nutrients, adding those flavors and those vitamins that we need to stay healthy and make sure we're at the top of our game. Now, SMS the keyword Clover to 33650. But if you need to see how this is made one more time, here's a quick recap.
Made with love by Clover.
Clover Fresh Milk is the #1 milk brand in SA. Made with love by Clover.
Acts of ordinary courage and brave compassion that puts the health of patients first have to be applauded. These are everyday heroes in the healthcare profession. So a few weeks ago, News 24 and Adcock Ingram OTC launched Sponsors of Brave, and this is a campaign in celebrating and sharing stories of pharmacists and healthcare professionals who have gone above and beyond the day-to-day call of duty. So today we meet the third nominee who is inspiring their community. Elsa Moorkal is a pharmacist at the WELZ Pharmacy in Athlone, Cape Town. She is known for her kindness, compassion, and for always going the extra mile for her clients. From arranging runs for charity to driving her clients who are without transportation to hospitals, Elsa and WELZ Pharmacy go above and beyond to provide affordable and accessible services to the Athlone community. Her future aspirations is to make their clinic free operational and to build an even stronger independent pharmacy. Meet another brave, courageous South African.
I've been a customer to them for a long, long time, since I was a child. I think it was the first pharmacy that I know.
Brody's is a family pharmacy that my dad bought in the 70s, which my wife and myself took over in 2014.
It was a poor community and he used to sell like 3 tablets at a time, make his own creams and do everything according to the patient's needs. We still do that today.
When we walk in already, everyone greets you and it's like everyone knows you already because of how you have been coming there all the time.
David and Ilsa, they're phenomenal people. They're always there to give back to the community for whatever they do.
We thought to uplift the community here and also bring the feedback into Athlone to have a whole festival. So we closed the whole road.
They had a fun run. They brought disadvantaged people to come sit in. Food was just for them. They had music, they had stalls.
We pulled about 5,000 people and then that money went into the community for charity and pensioners lunch and drug rehabilitation. Sometimes it's hard because I think we're doctors and we psychologists and we really do things like driving people to hospital because you can't say no to people. Like, how do you say no to them? They come here, they come to us. Just the belief that they have in us is overwhelming.
I find myself very privileged to be in a position to give. I think there's a lot more that a lot of people can do to just make a really small difference in someone's life every day.
Brave, yes, I think very much so. When it comes to being a woman, having to fill the big man's shoes, like it was quite popular and still challenging every day. I want the clinic to be fully operational and, yeah, a stronger independent pharmacy, basically. What motivates me is to live up to my father-in-law's legacy that he left us.
Amazing work from Elsa Moorkal. Now you can nominate the pharmacist or healthcare professional in your community, making a real difference. And you can stand a chance to win 5,000 Rand. Plus, there will be 2 winners from the nominations. The judges will select the one winner and your votes will select the other. These winners will win a trip to an overseas medical conference of their choice for themselves and the opportunity to pay it forward by donating 25,000 Rand to a registered NPO charity of their choice. Now, to nominate, go to news24.com or partners.24.com/sponsors of Brave. Let's make South Africa brave again.
I've never met someone with a heart like this.
She embodies what it means to be selfless.
Even when I was in a state of panic, she saw me through bravery.
Often the bravest people don't see themselves as others do. Join us in celebrating these brave heroes. Nominate the pharmacists and healthcare professionals in your community making a real difference and stand a chance to win 5,000 Rand.
Around the coronavirus. After the break, we continue the conversation around the coronavirus with journalist Adam WELZ, who has done extensive research on coronavirus and its effects. He has carefully looked around all the credible sources and speaking directly to healthcare professionals. See you after the break.
Next time on tropical island of treasure Curacao, the competition takes an unexpected twist. The top 5 finishers in this challenge will have an unprecedented opportunity to choose a new teammate.
What? This entire game is going to change.
It makes no sense.
I just want this to be over with. We can't feel sorry for you.
Tropical Island of Treasure Curacao, Tuesday evenings at 7:30. Repeat Saturdays at 8 p.m. only on SABC3.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, over the past few years, there has been a growing distrust between the media and the public with so many different opinions and things like fake news on the rise. But during this time of global epidemic, the media has one of the most important roles to play. Journalists like Adam WELZ have the crucial job of getting the facts right and making sure that the public is informed. He has been researching the coronavirus and its effects, gathering information from credible sources and consulting with healthcare professionals. Now he joins us now on the phone. Hi, Adam.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know, unfortunately, you couldn't be here in the loft, but we definitely do appreciate your input at such a crucial time, and South Africa's looking for answers.
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, I'm just going to go straight right ahead into it, Adam. What motivated you to probe into acquiring more knowledge and, of course, conducting further information and ongoing research on coronavirus?
Well, I trained as a biologist, but I've worked in the media my whole life, and I started hearing reports from a contact in Asia quite early on about how this virus was spreading in China, and I immediately realized it was a serious problem, especially after speaking with some medical experts, international epidemiologists, and so on, of my acquaintance.
Wow, it does sound like something that can shake almost anyone when you first interact with the news of it. So I know, for instance, one of the things that you have a bit of an issue or concerns with is the message from the government about the gathering of people within one space. You felt like it was rather ambiguous and it did not communicate in the correct tone. So in regards to that, how would you have preferred this matter to be addressed?
Yeah, I think it needs to be very clear to people that it's not only people that look sick that can give you the virus. A lot of people can get this coronavirus and they appear completely healthy, but they're very infectious. They are passing this virus around all over the place. And I've seen a lot of messaging saying you should avoid sick people. That's not really the correct message. The message should be that you should avoid everybody. You should maintain a good distance of at least 2 meters from everybody when you're out in public, because you don't know who is sick and who is not. The other thing is that, you must really emphasize that any gathering of any group in any place, no matter how many people, even if it's 5 people, can be passing the virus around. Just because the president banned all gatherings of over 100 people doesn't mean you are magically safe if you're with fewer than 100 people. You really should be avoiding all people at all times.
Yeah, that sounds crucial to me right now, because a lot of people misunderstand what it is to socially distance yourself and put yourself in that self-isolation and quarantine space, which we'll dive into a little bit later. But for now, I just want to find out and kind of suss out the environment and the temperature here. Now, you've conducted extensive research and engaged with healthcare professionals, including those in the epidemiology. Now, what's the general consensus when it comes to the health fraternity on this virus?
You know, people are really, really worried everywhere, because one of the main reasons being the speed at which this virus moves. It is incredibly infectious, much more so than other similar viruses. It is very easy to pass from person to person. And combined with the fact that people who have it often appear healthy, that means it can spread incredibly quickly through the population before anyone even realizes that it is spread. And you go from a situation where everything feels completely normal to a situation where everything is in chaos and the hospitals are completely overwhelmed with thousands of patients, sometimes in as short a period of a matter of days, but certainly weeks. So that is, I think, the scary thing the experts really, really worry about the most, and why we're so worried here in South Africa that our health resources could be overwhelmed.
Absolutely, and it sounds like this ripple effect keeps showing up time and time again, especially with the whole 2-week, 14-day time period from contracting the disease to when essentially some people, or the majority of people, are seeing the symptoms showing up within themselves. And it is in that time period that we see people reinfecting or affecting other people, and as so comes that this ripple effects will just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and ultimately we will see our hospitals and our healthcare environments jam-packed and overloaded with patients, so much so that they're unable to keep up. So, Adam, my question to you is, right now it seems that the sentiment is that we're on it, we're above it, and we can conquer it. But as more cases seem to come up, are you afraid that this might not be the case and we might be overwhelmed?
Yeah, I definitely feel there's a very strong chance that we will be overwhelmed. Many of our hospitals are already in trouble, and the point being, if we become overwhelmed with COVID patients, if those patients take up all the beds in the hospital, then we don't have beds for people that are in car crashes, for example. We don't have beds for people that have had heart attacks, and that really concerns me. The other thing is we have many people in South Africa who already have pre-existing conditions like diabetes or hypertension, or they're overweight, or they're immunocompromised. And all of those things make it much more likely that the coronavirus will hit them very, very hard. So we might have a large section of our population really needing medical care. And if we don't slow down the virus right now, early on, before it seems to be a problem, then we can run into some serious, serious problems just a couple of weeks down the line.
This is very scary, everything that you're saying, but it's the reality. It's what's happening right now, and it's our responsibility, rather, to be ahead of it at every point, making sure that we are ahead of the curve and that South Africa doesn't experience it. But it's so weird, Adam, to hear you speak about people in car crashes and heart attacks, because it's almost unfathomable that life continues, that so much more is happening above and beyond this virus. So with life continuing, it has to go past this virus, saying that we need to quarantine ourselves, self-isolate ourselves, social distancing. I mean, we hear these words being thrown around very loosely and very frivolously. Now, do people really understand what this entails and what it actually means, that life can't continue?
No. I mean, for myself, what I've been doing for over 10 days now is my whole family is in the home pretty much at all times. We don't have any visitors coming. We don't have anybody entering or leaving the house except for ourselves. If our family comes, they stand outside and we talk over the fence with at least 2 meters in between us. We sometimes go for walks just to get some fresh air, but we make sure we stay at 2 meters away from everybody while we're out there. And we also only go shopping once per week. And one of us will go out, and when we come home, we make sure we wash our hands before we enter the house. We take our shoes off. We sometimes even take our outer clothes off in case we have touched someone or encountered the virus out there. And then we handle the food items quite carefully, bearing in mind that somebody might have touched them in the supermarket before we brought them home. So it's really being very, very careful to minimize all your contact with the outside world as much as you can, but then also spending time on the phone, speaking to your neighbors across the fence, maintaining your social interactions, but keeping a physical distance between you and other people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Adam, for all of this information. Taking nothing for granted is what's key here. And we definitely appreciate journalists like yourself who go ahead of it and make sure that we're all clued up to all things COVID-19. We appreciate you, Adam. Now, after the break, we turn our focus of our conversation to mental health, especially amongst young men in disadvantaged communities. So we'll see you after the break.
Find your smooth fortune with Tropica. Buy a Tropica, follow the entry details on the pack, and stand a chance to win your share of 1 million rand in prizes, such as a trip for 2 with KLM to Amsterdam, LG G8X cell phones, LG TVs and dishwashers, guest vouchers, guest watches and accessories, plus the smooth grand prize of a Suzuki Ignis. The more Tropica you buy, the more chances you have to win. Tropica, nothing smoother.
And I think like the general
are recuperating from the coronavirus. Definitely follow their Instagram account, Living Corona Positive. Incredible work that you're doing. Thank you so much, ladies. Think Corona positive. Incredible work that you're doing. Thank you so much, ladies. After the break, we welcome back to Afternoon Express, and I hope that we are shaking the Monday blues right out of your system. Now, mental health issues amongst men is still a taboo issue. In South Africa and in areas like the Cape Flats, young men are exposed to many negative influences and often lack support and encouragement to take the responsible role in society. Now, Arise is an organization led by psychologists and social workers who provide support to these communities and have special programs aimed at young men. We're joined now by the director of Arise, Danielle Musaji.
Yes.
And then, of course, we also have family center manager of Arise, Robin Jacobs. Welcome to the Loft, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Now, the work that you're doing in the Cape Flats area is remarkable. I know a lot of people pay a lot of attention to the young female, the young girl child, but here we see an organization that is not excluding the boys. So can you tell us, Danielle, just about Arise in general and how it came to be?
So Arise is an NGO based on the Cape Flats, and we believe that every child deserves to be in a thriving family. And so based on that belief, we work in 3 ways. One is family strengthening with existing families so that children can reach their full potential. And secondly, because we don't live in an ideal world, we also advocate for permanency through our adoption support workshops and conferences. And thirdly, the groups that we have developed and written at our family centre, we are now training other professionals, so psychologists, social workers, teachers, pastors who work with children, how to incorporate family strengthening in your existing programs in your organisations.
It sounds like you get a whole lot of people stuck in from the community and get involved, get their hands dirty. I mean, Robin, for yourself, what specifically in these 3 programs that you have for the young men, what specifically are you targeting and what do you go for?
Specifically around resilience building and resilience development, and helping these young boys, these young men, to see themselves as more as what society has perhaps labelled them as, but to see their potential, to give them the freedom to dream and to put plans in place that are going to help them get to those dreams.
Oh, that sounds so beautiful. And resilience seems to be something that the whole country needs to grab a hold of right now in this tough time. I mean, Danny, finally, just to end off, being a resilient human being, whether you're a young man, an old man, or somewhere in between, how can you go forth and make sure you make your mark positively?
Well, I think it is, you know, what are your problem-solving tools? What are your values? What is your purpose in life? And finding that. And then being guided by your values as well. So that is something that Arise tries to develop within you, going, who's the man that you want to be and what are the steps you're going to take to get there? And part of that is problem-solving tools, because as much as we want to take away poverty and gangsterism and all those bad elements, we also know that we have strength within us. We get up every day and we go to work and we survive. That's a massive strength that South Africa has. And right now with COVID-19, it's going, what do we have that we can, you know, be able to push through this really hard time? Well, we have family, we have community. And the hardest thing for us is knowing that this is going to affect our marginalized communities.
Absolutely.
So how can we support them as well during this time?
Well, we thank you that you are stuck into these communities and that you are making the change and being those shining lights, helping everyone arise out of a very tough tough situation. We definitely appreciate your work. Now, after the break, it's time for another installation of Mommy Mondays as we continue our conversation around mental health and especially with regards to the families during this time of self-isolation. We'll see you after the break. Looking for immune support? Remain at your peak all year round with Immuenza.
Buy any large meal and redeem your guaranteed reward. 250 million rands of guaranteed rewards to celebrate you.
For most of us, the coronavirus epidemic still exists out there in the media. As of this morning, South Africa had 274 confirmed cases. And today we're meeting two of those people via video chat from Cape Town. Jules and Megs contracted the virus after a holiday in Switzerland. Currently, they have quarantined themselves at home. Ladies, hello. Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Hi.
How are you, ladies? You look very cozy and comfortable there at home, but I'm sure that you're going through something that is quite absurd and something that is out of the ordinary. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, completely. But I think we are sort of on the back end of it, and we're feeling a lot better today, which has been great.
Oh, that sounds incredible. Now, I just want to go from the beginning of this entire story. Can you please just give the viewers a quick summary of where and how you managed to pick up the virus?
Okay, I think we lost the last part of that question, but basically you just want to know our story.
Yes, your story, how you picked up the virus and where you were.
Okay, so we were on a family holiday in Switzerland, and we can't be 100% certain where we got it, and we can't be 100% like who it was out of us that contracted it to maybe pass it on to each other, or if it was all of us who got it. But we're putting it down to the night that it was my brother's birthday, where we all went out for dinner and then went to a bar afterwards where there were so many people, and it must have been that night that we contracted it.
Now, a lot of people have been saying a lot of myths and scary realities, and I really do want to debunk a few of these. So I just want to start from the test itself. I mean, what a scary experience that must have been. I can only imagine something that you've never experienced before, with people in these suits, in this, like, armor, essentially, protecting themselves from you. So how was the testing process, and what did it involve?
Do you know what? We were a little bit lucky because Mark, who we were traveling with, actually had his test first. He had a test as soon as he landed, and so he gave us a bit of a debrief on what to expect. So we kind of knew what was coming.
To be honest, like the test itself, they stick like a long earbud down your nose and into the back of your throat. And there's no reason that anyone had that experience before. Like, a lot of us have had blood drawn, that's normal. But to have like a swab down your nose into your throat is so bizarre.
It's much deeper than you.
So strange. And then they also get a swab like in your throat, but they kind of like need to get deeper than you'd think they would. So yeah, it's not like a fun afternoon activity.
But essentially, you needed to know your status. You needed to know where you standed, so you knew what to do thereafter. Heading into quarantine, so you had to self-isolate, quarantine yourself. I mean, how have some of your symptoms developed since learning about the virus and that you had contracted it?
Well, our symptoms developed when we were in Switzerland. We were in a ski resort in a snow town, so we were in the snow and in the cold snow, warm chalet, cold snow, warm chalet. So when we got sick, we just thought we had flu or we had a cold, which is very normal for like being in that sort of environment. It was only when we got back to Cape Town, when my brother went to go and get tested, that we figured out that we had corona. Personally, for me, none in my wildest dreams did I think that what we all had contracted was the coronavirus.
But on that note, I think also once you get the call to say you're positive, I think paranoia sets in and you start to think, oh my gosh, I've got the corona, now I'm feeling even worse. And it's just important to remember that actually you were probably fine, you're probably already on the road to recovery, and just to not panic at that point, regardless of the outcome of your results.
So, Megs, Jules, just to go from the symptoms again, I think a lot of South Africans don't know what to expect. We hear that it is kind of like flu symptoms. Some people say it's kind of like pneumonia, but 10 times worse. So how did you experience the symptoms, and how did they show themselves and represent themselves within your body?
Okay, well, all of us have had different varying symptoms that have onset at different times in this window period. I think what was common amongst all of us was the headache and fever in the beginning, just like you would feel when you're getting any sort of flu. I experienced a sore throat and swollen glands. My mom did as well. We all experienced extreme fatigue. We were really, really tired. And we all had some sort of degree of this dry cough that I know is very common for coronavirus. What other? My dad has experienced, and my brother also a little bit, but my dad quite significantly, he's experienced a loss of appetite. And then my brother and my dad also lost their sense of smell, their sense of taste, and appetite. So for my brother at one point, it was tricky for him to eat. He was put off by a lot of foods, and that symptom has lasted a lot longer for my dad. But I didn't really have that at all. I mean, I know when you're sick, you don't want food as much as normal.
Yeah, you don't feel like eating.
Exactly. So, but that was normal. But for them, they had that to a much worse degree where they couldn't really eat. And then I know they say like stay hydrated during this time, but my body needed a lot of water. Like I drank a lot. I have no idea where my body put that water, but it was a lot.
Ew. That sounds so scary, but something that is very real, and I can only imagine daily experiencing these symptoms differently. So right now, ladies, the on-off hot coldness of the symptoms, and emotionally, I mean, you spoke about paranoia setting in. So how long has it been, and how are you feeling now?
So if we contracted the virus the night we thought we did, it's now been 2 weeks. For Megs and I, we're completely fine. I've been fine for the last week. I think just going back to your last question, it's really important to remember that it is so different for everyone, and someone else's symptoms and their timeline might be very different. So I've actually been fine for quite some time, which has been great, and the rest of the family is slowly getting there as well. Yeah, and then just quickly on that note, like you can be corona positive, but you're not going to show symptoms. So like, for instance, Jules got to the point where she wasn't showing symptoms anymore, but she still tested positive. And then, you know, the other can be true. You can show a lot of these symptoms because you've got some other sort of flu that isn't the coronavirus, and then you're not going to test positive. So, yeah.
And I think globally, something that we're all fearing are these corona symptoms showing up in the way that it did with Jules, where she was asymptomatic. You didn't see anything really, and she could have, you know, gone out and been active and engaged with people in a way that is reckless, not knowing that she has the virus. In comparison to you, Megan, who you felt it from almost day one, it was on and off. So I think that South Africans need to be aware of both, that you can show symptoms or you can have someone who doesn't show any symptoms at all. And that's why it is so important for us to socially distance ourselves and remain in isolation until we know what is up. Now, from your experience, ladies, what is the key message that you want to share with people?
Well, I think this virus is a human-to-human. It's going to spread when there's human-to-human contact. So in order for it to not spread, we need to minimize human-to-human contact. So self-isolation, quarantine, those two things are going to have the biggest influences on minimizing the spread of the virus and flattening the curve, that term that everyone's using at the moment, which is so important. And then, of course, the other thing, if you can't avoid contact with people, if the virus doesn't get into your respiratory system, if you kill it, if it gets on your hands and you kill it, it can't get into your respiratory system. So obviously it can help if you're in a situation where a mask is necessary. But otherwise, if you're touching surfaces, if you go into a public place, don't touch your face. Don't get the virus from your hand, from wherever it is, onto your face. And before you touch anything, before you go back into your home, sanitize head to toe and keep washing hands. And yeah, that would be.
And then obviously just in a non-practical sense, but more just in a mindset, you know, if you want to look at it from that way, I think it's just being as positive as possible and remaining calm. And there's moments where we've panicked, there's moments where we've been very calm, and I think we've learned now that panicking, paranoia is not going to help anyone. I think it's just about being positive. You've got this, okay? We can do this. There's no need for what's a lot of going on at the moment. So I think just staying positive, remembering and appreciating the things we do have and the things we can do to stop this.
Yeah, and just to add to what Jules, you know, in opening up our story to everyone via our Instagram account, Living Corona Positive, we've been getting a lot of messages from people that we are connecting with a lot of people that we obviously wouldn't have otherwise. And I think like the general consensus of what we're picking up is that everyone is in flat panic and everyone is developing anxiety around this. People are having sleepless nights. And I think the important thing to say about that is it's a total normal human reaction to be anxious about what's going on in the world. If you're not worried about what's going on, then you don't understand what's going on. But it's also important that we support one another through this, that we positive mindset, because acting on that fear, acting on that anxiety is not going to help the problem. It's going to be part of the problem.
Beautiful. Well said, Megan. Thank you so much again to you, Julia, as well. The ladies are living brave. They're living positive. If you want to see their journey and how they are recuperating from the coronavirus, definitely follow their Instagram account, Living Corona Positive. Incredible work that you're doing. Thank you so much, ladies. Oh, what a great conversation that I had earlier on today with those two survivors of the coronavirus. But right now I'm joined by Anita Prague, who is a clinical psychologist, just to wrap up this whole conversation around coronavirus and moving forward, what should we do as a country?
Well, like the lady said, don't panic. There's a lot of fear at the moment. We're all in a flat panic about, various facts. So try and stay away from too much social media information, I guess. Don't binge, and so keep your mind clear with that. Get the facts, keep it simple, stay connected. To us as humanity, essentially, because now's the time we use technology, to look after each other, basically. Essentially, that's what we need to do.
Beautiful.
Stay sanitized.
I love that. No, and that's something that we keep saying and keep mentioning throughout the show. We spoke about resilience a little earlier. What big part does resilience play in this whole picture?
Yeah, I mean, we need to dig deep now, as individuals and as a country to really empathize with everybody, to be altruistic as much as we can, reach out. Yes, we're separated, we're isolated, we need to quarantine ourselves. So the counter to that is use what's available to us to actually stay connected, and that is technology, social media.
And it's quite interesting that you're talking about connectivity and being close, but not physically close. You see, there's a difference here that we're discussing. There's that emotional connection, there's that togetherness, that spirit of togetherness that we all have, but physically, we just gotta, take 2 steps away from each other. And a lot of mothers are at home, it being Mommy Monday with the kids. What should they be getting up to? How to keep focused, how to keep delivering with schoolwork and those things, but also learn how to chill.
Yes. I mean, that's important. We need to become still and still within ourselves, stay grounded. So if you've gotten outside, go outside. Get some sunshine while we're still in, good weather. Play. Let children play. And as adults, we need to play as well, right? So remain creative, paint, draw, write, journal, write down your thoughts, tap into your emotions.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anita. You always are so helpful, adding a positive spin on every conversation that we have. Thank you so much for making us such well-rounded human beings. At home, we do encourage you again to be responsible, practice social isolation and social distancing. But tomorrow we will be whipping it up in our Afternoon Express kitchen. So since you're at home and since you're in quarantine time, make sure that you go over to Afternoon Express's website to get our recipe so you can cook along with us. But chilling in the kitchen, we've got Graham Richards tomorrow. I know we are all loving him. So good night, God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow. Mwah.
Afternoon Express, made with love by Clover.
Another feel-good production.